and you watch absolute basketball.
What are your impressions of the roster that both you took on and that you've put together since taking the job? What are your impressions of the roster that you got?
I'm excited about our team. I said this to the guys the first day I met with them. We want to start with the guys that are already in the program. Now we need to get together and meet individually and talk, because we got to find out quickly who's really going to stay, who's going to be 2 feet in.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to figure out who's going to be 2 feet in within this locker room, and then we can build around that. And I made that really clear. And 6 of them, and it wasn't all of them at the same time. There were a couple of them that were in the portal, but 6 of them decided to be 2 feet in with us. And I thought it was one heck of a nucleus. We have, I wouldn't say the most experienced returning group in college basketball, but we have returners with experience. We have ball handling and guard play and playmaking, some toughness. And then, I think as we looked at that initial rosters or that initial group that kind of decided to come back with me, we realized we had a couple things that we had to address. And one was our front court, and we needed some depth and some impact in the front court right away. And we needed some more size and athleticism on the wing. And as you look at what we were able to add with Hayden Koval and Abdul Otto from Mississippi State and Odi Iguama from Wake Forest, we were able to address that front court right away with 3 guys that have a ton of experience in college basketball, and we think fit what we're trying to do and what we're about. And then John Newman from Clemson addresses that big perimeter guard that can defend and gives us a little bit more depth there, because that was an area that we were lacking. And then I thought, Jared Hensley and AJ McGinnis, are able to kind of bring depth on the perimeter at the 4 position with Jared, and like I just said, on the perimeter and the backcourt with AJ, and in terms of shooting and scoring, and guys that I coached for a year, and I know what they're about on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, I felt really good about the nucleus that stayed, and I feel really good about what we added. And now it's not about who came and who stayed. It's about a group of guys that had a really good summer and had a really good 9 weeks, or really we worked 8 of the 9 together in terms of players and coaches, but had a really good 8 to 9 weeks together working. And we got to try to come out and surprise people this year, because I don't think people expect a lot of us, but I do think we can have a really, really competitive basketball team.
And then June and July, D1 coaches were able to get back out on the road, live recruit for the first time in 18 months. How did it feel to get back out, first of all? And then secondly, with a new program, new roster, what was kind of your plan of attack when getting out there?
Well, it was great. It was great to see kids live. I love evaluating. I really enjoy recruiting. And to do it over a computer screen like you and I are talking just wasn't the same. Your juices didn't get flowing quite as much. So to get out there and see guys live and evaluate the stuff beyond basketball that was so hard to see on tape, facial reactions, body language, how people interact with their teammates and their coaches, how hard they take winning or losing, that kind of stuff we really value. And to be able to actually see that up close and personal, that was neat again. It was awesome to get back out and get back to business on the road recruiting. Our approach is what it's always been. We want to work as hard as we possibly can to make sure that the guys that we prioritize see us and know that we're there, and know that we're not just telling them we're recruiting them, we're showing them that with their actions. I think when you've been sidelined for 15 months or so in recruiting, you do want to get out and see a lot of guys and really, really try to evaluate. So we tried to cover a lot of ground as a staff and evaluate as well. But I thought it was a really good summer for us. We covered a ton of ground. I think we're recruiting some great players, and I'm looking forward to the future of Bearcat basketball.
And then last thing here for me, as you start off with practices and you're able to, kind of see the kids, coach the kids, and do all this type of stuff, what type of identity are you trying to build for the program at Cincinnati?
We're going to play hard. We're going to play with edge. I think that's one of the reasons that the job was so appealing to me, Jamie, was, our teams at Greensboro played with an edge. You could always, we wanted you to be able to feel that by the way that we guarded you, by the way that we got to loose balls, or some of the things that, give a team extra possessions. We wanted to be a little nasty in how we did it. And I mean that in a good way, in terms of we were willing to dive on the floor. We were willing to hustle to keep a ball alive on the offensive board. I think Cincinnati basketball's been about that for a long time. And I think we want to be about that moving forward here. We want to play with pace. So I think we want to get up and down the floor and play in the open floor and play an exciting brand of basketball. We want to let guys play, Gene. I mean, I don't want talented guys looking over their shoulder when they make mistakes. I want guys to play through mistakes and play with confidence and just give it to us on the other end. But we want to build a tough, gritty, competitive team with an edge. And when you play against Cincinnati, you're going to feel it the next day, that type of thing. Obviously, we're one of the greatest programs in the history of our game. We expect to compete with everybody in college basketball and compete to go to the NCAA tournament every year, to advance in the NCAA tournament year, to go to Sweet 16s and Final Fours, and hopefully compete for national championships. And so that's all the stuff in our future, but you can't bypass the process of what it takes to get there. It's got to be a day-by-day and step-by-step thing. And we plan on doing that with how we approach it every day.
Awesome. Wes, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. And good luck this season.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jamie.
You're watching Absolute Basketball.